Hello, friends, and welcome to Worldbuild with us, the podcast where we create fantastical worlds with help from you, our listeners. My name is Rob Hilferty, and I'm here with my co-hosts Daniel Quinn and Courtney Staples. On today's episode, we are finishing up our time with our new patron James's prompt all about the elemental moons, and it turned into demons and radiation and underground railroad, literal underground railroads. Very cool stuff. As always, this is the second part of a two-parter. I would strongly suggest you go back and listen to that first episode before diving into this episode. Now, before we get into today's episode, of course, we have to shill our stuff, which means that if you want us to build your world, you can go to our website, worldbuildwithus.com, where you can click the link, follow the instructions, and within a reasonable amount of time, we'll be building your world. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at Let's World Build. Or if you want to come and talk to us more directly, you can join our Discord with a link in the description and on our website. And of course, if you're feeling particularly generous, like our new patron, James, and our other new patron, Cam, you can always go to our Patreon, where you can get access to sweet, sweet patron-only goodies, like a double-length episode, access to our patron-only Discord, and access to our Aphid Lounge series, which is basically an extra podcast that we record specifically for our patrons. You can find a link for that in the description of this episode or on our website, or come chat with us in Discord. If you need a link, hey, we got you. Don't worry about it. And, oh boy, this is so new that I keep forgetting to do it, or almost forgetting to do it. We also have a brand new YouTube channel. So if you want to listen to us on YouTube for your convenience, you can go over to YouTube, where you can also comment on our stuff. Thumbs up. We'll engage with you more directly over there too, if Discord's not to your liking anyway. Go ahead and like, subscribe, bell, put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger, because dear God, I'm doing it and I hate it. But those things unfortunately do help us grow. But with all of that out of the way, please, let's move on to the episode. In our episode, last time we left off, we had a twist, and the twist was, on second thought, make it a happy ending. And so, to torment Courtney, we're going to go ahead and start with her. So, Courtney, how did you manage to work your way through a happy ending?
So I did struggle with this one, and not even necessarily because it's not necessarily because it's not what I usually go for, but more so I just really liked what we had going with, like, the grim feeling of the setting and how I was picturing it last time. So instead of shifting the overall world, my thought was to shift our focus within the setting and try to build out more of a close-up slice of life sort of thing as we think about possible quest lines this episode. Like, maybe we end up following some scrappy demon worshipping kids who are saving their friend from earth demons, or like we zoom in on a cafe and the people who run it, or something like that.
So your idea was, please don't make me do this, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I don't know.
I do like the notion of trying to make the subjects of the story more innocent as a way to potentially make it, quote unquote, have a happy ending.
Yeah.
A happy ending to me can mean, instead of the story veering towards tragedy, it could veer towards restoration too.
Yeah.
So, like, because we've got a destroyed elemental moon, right? That's causing all this mayhem. Like, and the grimdark-itude of it has something to do with radiation and decay and desolation and post-apocalypse. But what if, I think this goes hand in hand with potentially having the innocence of children or something adjacent to that, if you have a possibility of redemption or restoration.
Daniel, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's exactly what I did with my tenant.
Oh.
Yeah, I similarly did not want to get rid of that grimdark feeling. I, like Courtney, struggled with an interesting idea. Like, I thought that if we were to do something like, oh, the angel that's been protecting the planet from the shattered moon this whole time comes down to her, like, that's fucking cheesy and like not interesting at all, right? So what I did instead segue to my own tenet. I made it so a new discovery of the minerals that have been raining down via the comets and meteor storms, they have been able to find a way to harness the minerals that are in there that will in the future usher in an age of like prosperity and progress. However, we're still in the infancy of that era, so we can still live this kind of grim dark fantasy that we've evoked, with the idea that we see it in the future that, oh, wow, we've found a mineral, we found an energy source that is going to change the game. It's going to bring us back to an age of like technological advancement, but we're not there yet. Like, we can see it, right? And like that's the closest thing I can do to get us to a quote unquote happy ending there, right? Because the hope, it's about hope. It's about potential. You know, it's not as though, okay, the earth is dead, we've scoured it, we've burned it, there's no hope left whatsoever. The happy ending is there's a chance for the future that doesn't rely on demon worship, that doesn't rely on literally burning your soul out of your body. So that's what I decided to go with.
Can we square that with the children? I feel like if you're talking about this bearing out in the future, it could be that whatever this has been developed applies to maybe a particular set of demon children, and they carry it in them.
Well, I had it as so. I'm trying to keep it away from demon energy. I'm trying to push the society away from something that requires them to condemn their souls for hope in future, right? To move it towards a technological aspect that relies more on the natural abundance of this shattered moon rather than the souls of the people who are, you know, selling themselves to demons.
It's interesting because I was sort of thinking the opposite when you were first describing your reconciliation of like maybe the energy is those four elements being combined, kind of like a Captain Planet with our powers combined sort of thing. Like, and that's what happens in the future.
Yeah, I mean that could definitely work. I'm just thinking that it comes down to mineral resources rather than human resources, you know, which I'm fine with.
I'm thinking maybe what you could do is, you know, in the past, it seems they had a sort of religious relationship with the demons and not really understanding and letting them possess them, essentially, right? Perhaps through a science, they understand the way the chemistry of it works. And instead of a possession, it could be like a symbiosis to develop something new. But the reason why I'm suggesting the children as a vessel for it, not in possession, is only because then it could incorporate Courtney seeing the innocence is the way to deliver the happy ending.
What I'm hearing from you, Daniel, is you believe that children are our future. Treat them right and they can show us the way. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
That's what a happy ending would suggest.
I imagine that Daniel's not a big Whitney Houston fan.
No.
All right. Well, let's integrate your tenet, Daniel, and see if we can maybe work something out that will appease all of us. What did you go with for your reconciliation?
I mean, my assumption is it has something to do with restoration. In my mind, I thought perhaps putting the moon back together again would matter. Now, I do like the idea, though, of the society moving past this dark religion, you know, thing. We're letting demons possess you, right? I do like the idea of children becoming the focus in some way, whether they're the heroes or something. But I also like the idea of maybe putting things back together again. And maybe like part of what you're saying in terms of harnessing these different types of elements or putting all the elements together requires putting the moon back together too.
Interesting. Like, how would that work? Putting the moon back together?
Especially because the technology that we're currently working with is like fairly primitive, right? It's like Iron Age at best.
I think maybe the ring that, if we're going to have the ring thing, the ring that binds the world, perhaps the quest of the children who are standard bearers for this new solution, like they can operate the machinery that will put the moon back together.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like that ring is the high tech, right?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Like they find like an ancient control console or something and start messing with it and realize like, oh shit, that's what it does.
I could see some sort of quests, perhaps, to like some formerly thought of as a divine structure connected to the ring that's on the earth or something. Then at that moment, surrounded by hundreds of elemental monsters, that kind of deal.
Are we just doing a fifth element? Is the fifth element love, and like there's a love?
God.
Is this what's going on right now?
I was gonna say, like, if the ring is this sort of angelic or pure, like good being, maybe it's like it requires somebody innocent that hasn't been touched by demons yet. Hence why children are the ones who are able to activate it.
Oh, maybe Rob, maybe the children, what it is they've used the elemental metals, right, through a science way to make them unpossessable. Like they've combined all the elements that are weaknesses for the werewolves, and they've given them like armor or equipment or something to protect them.
Well, yeah. So you could also just do it as a way that's like, so we've established that there are like the minerals that are effectively nullify or at least resist the possession of the demons, right? That are effectively the silver to our werewolves here, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do, why not create like a synthetic mineral or a synthetic, like through a synthetic process? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where you're able to create some kind of like prism or some kind of synthetic crystal or something like that that is able to resist straight up possession, while also maybe channeling demonic power through a crystal or something like, or through a secondary means, right? So you're transforming the demonic possession into a straight up energy source instead, right?
Yeah. And maybe for some meta reasons, it only works in children.
Yeah. Or it could just be like it only works if you haven't already been exposed.
Right. True. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that right now, and this can kind of go towards our happy ending as well, is that like children literally are our future, right? Because right now the technology says that, in the society, right, most people have given up some level of themselves to a demon, right? Let's just say that. And so the only future that exists, one that is like, oh, we can create a brand new society with this incredibly powerful energy source. However, the only ones who can work it right now are children. And then future generations, it will be a little bit better each iterative time, because you'll have more and more people who aren't directly exposed to that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that way, it's a happy ending. Like, yes, we have child labor now, but in the future...
Only because it's necessary.
Exactly. Like in the future, see, look, this is scratching Courtney's itch of we need some kind of dark nonsense to it. And it's also a still generally hopeful future that, like, yes, right now it's bad, but this allows us to take control of our souls back again, right?
Yeah, I like that. I think it could work. And
that's fine.
Yeah, it preserves the grimness of the setting while having this glimmer of hope. I like it.
Yes, exactly. Remember, hope is fairly relative, right? Like, oh, do we have child labor? Yes, and it is in fact worse than ever before. However, we now are free of demon possession, which kind of a dub in my book, like, anyway, yes. So okay, do we feel reconciled with the twist? We see that this process is beginning to come out, and maybe we make how the process comes about through the main storyline quest, but I believe that we have to get through factions first. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too, to come back to this when we do the quest line.
Fabulous. Okay, great. So factions, folks, what do we got? Daniel, I had Courtney start us off last time because I wanted to torment her just a little bit. So why don't I torment you this time? Daniel, what is your faction? What have you got for us today?
You had talked about how angels and the ring would be super cheesy. Well, what I have is visitors who have descended from the ring, not intentionally, but these strange visitors are trying to find the essence of the demon that escaped from the Earth Moon.
Oh, okay, interesting. Do you have a name for them, or like an aesthetic, or like abilities or anything like that?
I want them to be called the visitors, but I don't want them to either be, I don't want them to be biblical angels. I don't want them to be literal angels. I want them to be eerie and physically weak and difficult to communicate with, perhaps. And they crash landed. Like they didn't intend to come down.
So it's great.
Yeah.
Grays, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking gray adjacent would be interesting, you know, something weird like that. Like, you encounter them and you want to be a little bit afraid, you know?
Gray Jason? Is that
Gray Jason? Yeah, Gray Jason.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So of course, with this image in my head, I'm now going to the episode of The Simpsons.
I was thinking the exact same.
Yeah! Courtney! Okay. So Daniel, and you'll love this, Daniel, you'll love this, because it is an episode where they cross over with the X-Files. Mulder and Scully are both in the episode. And there have been sightings of an alien running through Springfield. And spoiler alert, at the very end, they just find out that it's Mr. Burns, who's really high on drugs. But because of all his years in nuclear energy, he glows like a gray, and his eyes are super dilated.
Oh, I remember this.
That.
I remember this picture. Yeah, I like that. Exactly. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Maybe scarier, but like that, basically.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines is, "I come in peace. It comes in peace. Quick, break its legs." Oh God, I love Golden Age Simpsons so much. It's so fucking good. Okay, so we've got Daniel's grays.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
got it.
I like that. I'm wondering, like, if they are humans just long removed from the ones that are on Earth, and because of their exposure to like the radiation of space and all that,
and the weightlessness of space,
right?
Well, I like
so
that.
They're like physically frail because they've been like acclimatized to like low gravity for so long, right?
Yeah,
like my elves in OSR Plus. That sounds good. That sounds great.
Cool. So I'm gonna piggyback off that, Daniel, because my faction is also tied to the Ring in some way, although they're much more terrestrial in what they do. I've named them even. They are the aspirants of the Pale Eye, and they are first of all, they're just generally unpleasant. They look really mysterious. They operate kind of in the shadows. The whole deal with them is that they see the ring that protects the world as a literal angel, right? Like, I know that it's not at this point through Daniel's kind of faction. They don't care about that. They are zealous. They believe that the ring is an eye that is literally an angel looking down upon them to protect them. And so what they do, their whole spiel is they seek out forbidden knowledge and information from past, right? They are also demon hunters. So in my mind, right, if the world itself reveres and worships demons, you have to have demon hunters who are kind of off in the shadows and like doing quote unquote God's work to protect humanity and stuff like that. But they're also going to be seen as like, wow, those guys are dicks and they're really unpleasant to work with. And yes, they have a lot of information there, and vital, in fact, to like understanding like how demonic alchemy tends to work, like with the minerals and stuff like that. But rather than like trying to make it work as like a source of power, they're like, yo, we got to expunge these fuckers. We got to get rid of these demons. We got to get rid of the demonic worship. We got to get rid of the demonic influence and get back to what God had planned. But the society in general treats them with like derision and scorn because they tend to act unilaterally. So like, oh yeah, we've got a demon who we have a pact with, you know, like if he runs our railway system, and then, you know, the aspirants of the Pale Eye like suddenly come out from the shadows and fucking murk him. And it's like, well, shit, now we don't have trains anymore, and we've got to make a new pact that's probably not going to be as good as the old pact, right? So that's what I've got for them. Again, they have to work in the shadows because they're seen with like this kind of negative light overall, but that's the overall vibe that I've got for them going on.
I had the same thing along those lines for a faction in my head. A demon hunters that worship the ring because it's opposed to the demons. So I am fully on board. But I like kind of how inflexible they are. So I like all the other details that you've added.
Well, look, we came together on this one, Daniel.
I know.
We really did. What I'm really curious about is like how my aspirants would treat your aliens, because
I was wondering that too.
Uh-huh.
part of me thinks that they treat them as heretics almost.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I feel like they wouldn't understand because it would reveal, like, if you confront religious zealots with the truth of their religion, they're going to destroy that truth, you know, if it's a falsehood.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's 100% what's going on here. They're like, what do you mean it's not an angel protecting us? That sounds like heresy.
Yeah. I could see them like destroying information related to that too. Like if there were records from ancient times before the apocalypse detailing like the construction of the ring and like how people might live up there and stuff, they would probably just fucking burn it and be like, nope, this never happened. Okay. We didn't see anything.
So yes, I love that idea entirely. Daniel, can I ask you a couple questions about your alien folks, by the way?
Sure. Before you ask these questions, I want to ruin our entire experience.
Okay.
What if it sounds like we're creating the movie E.T. in slow steps?
So weirdly, I have actually never seen E.T.
What? Really? Wow.
Really?
Well, okay. Premise for those who haven't is child finds alien. Child must get alien away from government, right? So demon children. We have crash landed alien government / evil angel worshippers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, okay.
Your questions. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. To be fair, this is not the government, because the government's like, we don't care about aliens, right?
They're not related.
But this is like, right. Okay.
I mean, the kind of the fascism of it, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Right. Okay.
But your question, sorry.
So I have a question. So when you say that they've crash landed, is this the first time that they've crash landed, or have there been multiple versions of this? And the aspirants have suppressed, aka murdered, or perhaps just rounded up the other like people who have crashed landed onto the Earth.
I think your leading question suggests to me I really like it because of the process. But what I'm gonna modify. I think to answer your question, I think the prompt also suggests that the ring has been observing and interacting with the world subtly. So perhaps there have been interactions, intentional visitations that your cult has suppressed and sought out and killed because it reveals the truth. But I think these particular ones, because of the moon exploding, whatever chaos is happening up there, they fell unintentionally to the world.
Yeah. Okay, wait. That's really interesting, because now it turns the pale aspirants also into like a Men in Black type situation as well, right?
Yes. G-Men. They're G-Men.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yes. So like maybe up there, they're like the only people we've had contact with are these weird gray cloaked
terrible bastards.
Yeah, and they're like, of course we're not going to go up there, because like the only experience they've had are like with religious zealots. You know, so like, that's actually really good. I like that a lot. Okay, fuck yeah.
I like that too. And like with them crashing, I could see it being like they were doing like some sort of observation and got hit by one of the Earth meteors that was coming down. The Earth moon meteors. And then it was like, oh fuck. Not only are we crashing, we're also gonna get fucking tortured and killed by these crazy people.
Yeah. Until some demon children come across the crash landed area.
And they have to work with the demon children who, according to their culture, perhaps mission are their enemies, or the things to be contained at a minimum, because clearly the ring has contained the demons.
Well, okay, hold on. The whole deal is that these are not demon children.
Yes.
Right. So they
haven't
the anti-demon children.
Right.
But they come from a culture that understands the demons essentially and uses
them. And they don't see the demons as a bad thing. They just see them as like, they would regard demons the way that children would regard trains or like power stations, right? Or power
things to be, you know, that are interesting, are forms of power, and probably to them seem natural, you know, part of the natural world.
Yeah, maybe they're even like gonna be doing a coming of age ceremony soon, which involves them like being possessed.
Courtney, you're jumping ahead to the main storyline already.
I know.
Okay. It's especially galling because you haven't introduced your faction, and I hope it like, I've created a child killing serial killer.
The child eater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've created a child eater for my factions. So like,
yeah, I'm just gonna cross out what I had here, and we're gonna go with Earth Demon Child Murderer. Yes.
Nice.
No, but what I had was since we established last time that the Earth Moon infused demon worshippers are like extremely demonic in form. They're the ones who are like really fucked up and kind of losing their humanity very rapidly.
Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to do something with the opposite power of air and work on like an air cult that, as part of their like ceremony of inhaling the fumes of their air demon, their transformation involves like sprouting wings from their back, but it's a very painful process. It's not just like a fantasy transformation where, oh, I got wings now, this is cool. It's like they literally have to grow wings out of their back rapidly, and it rips the flesh and all that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this was after I came up with the happy ending
Oh,
reconciliation,
really?
and it's like,
Oh, yeah,
well,
no kidding.
I'm done with all that, so I'm just gonna go here. Anyway, so yeah, their anatomy shift around to accommodate these wings that are imbued with the essence of the air demon, and they serve roles as like scouts and maybe like hunting down these earth not human anymore creatures to protect their settlements and stuff.
So might I interject with a kind of caveat to these demon folk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason that birds can fly is because their bones are hollow and they're super light, right? Humans don't have that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm imagining that the wings that they're sprouting are really like on their own with no magic assistance whatsoever. They're only good for like gliding at best. Right?
Yeah.
So my guess is that, and if they really want to fly like properly, then it would require some kind of like demonic essence to be infused. Like they have to use some magic for uplift, right? Like it's like literally you are the wind beneath my wings and like you lift me up that way, right? But like I think that on their own, like, and that's kind of interesting because it's like it allows them to be like fearsome and menacing, but still like allow them to toe the line between, you know, like when do I really use this? When do I just rely on the natural part of it, you know?
Yeah, I could see them like probably taking off from really high vantage points so they can glide around, and maybe they have like canisters of like air demon essence with them that they can like huff when they need to
have you seen Blue Velvet?
No, I've heard about it though.
Okay, yeah. It's got Dennis Hopper and he just huffs a bunch of ether and he's like, mommy. Yeah. And now that I just realized that sound will now live on the internet forever.
Yep.
But that's also in my brain what's happening as they're huffing demonic air is that they're just doing the Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet, which, by the way, is a fun movie. I would recommend it. But anyway, yeah, no, you always love the scout and reconnaissance type. So this does not surprise me at all.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it works too. I think that like having like air rangers is kind of a cool thing to have, you know, especially because, navigating like open fields and like being able to like travel fairly quickly across a place where it's like, hey, we might get shredded up by this meteor storm. Time to like fly away as quickly as possible. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And maybe that, I mean, again, going to the main quest potentially, but like maybe the kids they have some connection to one of these, and that's how they hear about the crashed thing. Like they know the scout, and this person mentions like, oh, I saw this bizarre thing on the horizon, looked like a meteor, but not. It was different in some way, and then the kids go check it out.
Okay. I want to let Daniel jump in here before I move on because I have a really interesting scenario that I want to play out with you guys. But Daniel, do you have anything to say about these air folk before we move on to the squad? I know you do. So what do you got for us?
My only thought was I wonder if they are one of the few types that cross between all the demons in the sense that like maybe they can operate among other factions because they're seen as more mobile, like you're saying, like more scout like they maybe have a better relationship.
Oh, they're messengers as well.
Yeah, that works perfectly.
Messengers, yeah. So they're able to transgress in areas where others might not be able to. Yeah, that's
so like they're respected in that sense. Because like imagine like other than the Earth ones because those are the worst ones. But I imagine like among the demons is probably a bit of rivalry or tension. Maybe not with these.
Yes. Yeah. No, that totally works.
And possibly because they resemble the mythology of the ring angel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what might also work as well is that like we've kind of established that the minerals are like the things that push and pull for demons and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So maybe the mineral that like is the most prevalent is the one that like doesn't empower, but it affects the air demons the least. So they're able to travel easily compared to like, oh, if a fire demon like suddenly comes across like a water area and it's like overflowed with radiation, like it's a bad time. But because the air demons, their mineral is the least common, it allows them to travel in ways that other demons might feel a little bit more, it's more dangerous or feels more landlocked compared to the others, you know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. It could also be like, that's part of why the meteor showers are dangerous. In addition to just being hit would be bad, but the fact that you've got air energy, like, coming down at them would probably dampen their own power.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay, cool. All right. So hear me out, guys. Hear me out. The easy thing is it's a race to see what this whole deal is, right? Or like it's we're trying to do ET again, right? What I would suggest is there has been contact made, and then in the middle of the night they get taken away, and so it's a group of kids, it's a group of the scouts, and now it's about like it's a race to get their friend back, or the gray back, or something like that. But at the same time, I'm not sure if I like that. So you know what, I'm gonna let y'all go. You guys have better ideas than me. What do you got?
When we were talking before we got the gray angel kind of idea, I had been thinking that it would be something with an earth demon creature, like capturing one of their friends, or maybe one of their friends even being tempted over to that side for whatever reason, and that's why they were like on this coming of age adventure type thing. So I wonder if we can tie the earth demon in too, because I feel like they're really interesting to me.
Yeah, that should be the main antagonist, because I know we have the
aspirants.
Yeah, the aspirant kind of cults, but I feel like they can be almost like pressure on the narrative. So like if you know what I mean, like so like if like you're saying the children were on this coming of age thing that deals with the earth demon, and along the way perhaps or a complication of that, like when they're encountering this creature, a complication is the aspirants get involved, then you know maybe we can change the direction of the narrative, because I feel like even though they get involved, the earth demons still have to pose a bigger threat, because obviously the ring itself is afraid of it, you know.
Maybe maybe part of it is that this earth demon creature wants to consume the gray that had landed, like
to get back into the ring itself.
Yeah, as a way to like take that power in some way, since they get their power by eating or inhaling or applying pigments and stuff, and it could be something like that, where that sort of imagery of like you have to eat the heart of a creature to gain its power, that sort of thing.
Maybe like the all of the visitors are naturally connected to the ring themselves, and that's part of why the aspirants capture them too, do stuff to them.
I've got some ideas here. The way that I'm approaching this, there's a couple levels I got to work here, so you'll excuse me as I ramble. Number one, right? The way that I'm kind of approaching this is the earth demon is effectively, like a force of nature. It's like a living hurricane. It's a living natural disaster. You can't really reason with it. You can't, and of course it might be human, but it's so single-minded that you're not going to be able to reason with it, right? On the alternative, the aspirants, they are like the human face of like resistance, kind of like what Daniel's saying. They are a complication, but perhaps they can be reasoned with. Perhaps you might join like an uneasy alliance for a moment or two or something like that, right? But the goal is, you're right. The goal is to make sure that this earth demon does not consume or, like meet up with this gray again, right? So the other thing that I'm thinking of is this demon, perhaps it retains enough humanity and intelligence that it's about like, the only way I can cure my affliction from this earth demon is to consume this gray. Because once I consume it, my infection will be spread to it rather than me. And so maybe you can give the villain, even though it's like horrible and it's a monster, some level of humanity to where it's like all it wants is for it to end its pain, and the only way that it sees that it's possible is through this gray somehow.
I like that. Yeah, I wonder too that maybe you make the earth demon like some hermit or like druidic person who was tainted by it, and so that flicker of humanity is still there, you know.
Yeah.
I like you know what we could do is we could even have it so like the villain role shifts halfway through. So maybe in the beginning it's like, yeah, the aspirants are kind of the obvious villain until something happens where some knowledge is found out where the earth demon says, wait, I can become human again. Wait, I cannot be a horrible monster anymore. And then that's where it switches. And it's like, okay, the only thing I'm interested in is consuming and destroying this gray, because that is my way that I can remove this effect.
I almost want it flipped. I feel like if you flip it, you start with the earth demon being the principal antagonist. They get there. It tries to transfer its life essence. They realize what's happening, and then the aspirants get involved, and you realize it's a bigger threat and a conspiracy going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think that
they
makes
seem
more
scarier
sense
to me.
Yeah, like, well, they're also a little bit more complex and complicated as well, right? It's not like you go from force of nature to complex organization. Yeah, that's a natural kind of escalation as well. So yeah, that definitely works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I like that. And then I could also see like when that initial antagonist kind of gets downgraded, like not really, he doesn't really join the good side, because I don't think he's capable of that, but could definitely have interactions that unintentionally maybe assist that side, like in a way sacrificing itself by trying to get at the gray, which involves killing a bunch of aspirants, something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that you're not going to be able to tame this thing, but you can aid it in the aspirant's direction, right?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
And I feel like the angel demon people, like the angels, the bird types, the bird ones, like they seem to be almost like the assists to the kids. Like they're the ones who are an intermediary to help them, probably in a dangerous moment. Perhaps like when that transformation happens and the G-men swoop in, that's when the little bird people can come and get the kids out of there, and perhaps the alien or whatever, and then the adventure begins, you know, or goes at the halfway point.
I don't want to pull a Lord of the Rings like eagle swooping down.
Yeah, I mean, they could have been there with them, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe it's more like even just guiding them from the air, like they're racing through a dense forest or like a series of canyons or something, and the eagles, the bird guys, like kind of showing them the right path because he can see everything.
Right. So the bird demons are not, in fact, flying bicycles for the children to ride on.
Bicycles. Yes. It's so dumb. Okay. I love it.
Yeah, it is very dumb. Here's what I would like to do, though. I would like to make it so the climax of this adventure is not, okay, we've got to get the alien back to his ship, because that seems like that's too boring, right? Yeah, it's boring. It's
the alien die. I mean, maybe the alien gets infected and we lose it at that point. Because the kids, that's me, the kids, right? And the kids, in the end, at least in the earlier, we were talking about the kids performing the move.
No, this is how the synthetic crystal that like allows for demon energy to be focused without like the soul part. Maybe this is how it ends up happening. Maybe this is what ends up creating this whole situation, right?
Do they touch fingers with the alien, and then there's like a magical moment, like it's like an ET?
I was going back to my eating the heart idea of like,
or eat their heart, of course.
To gain the power, they have to like consume it in some way.
God.
So I would like it. Okay,
Courtney.
Hold on. Courtney, this is the most Courtney that's ever Courtneyed. No, we're not going to
make the kids eat the heart of the alien.
No, shut up. We're not hanging the hopes on the future on cannibalism. We're not. You say we're not making cannibalism is the way of the future.
What if it just like slurps the ichor out of the alien's heart? Just slurps it, not eats the heart, sucks it a little bit.
No. Absolutely no. The twist is have a happy future, not a human farm. Like that's not what we're doing
It's just
here.
one
Okay.
alien
Yeah.
heart.
You gotta eat, take a bite.
No. We are smarter and better than this. We can do better than cannibalism. What is the solution?
I think it's a cool image.
I think the middle ground would be, I do think that the alien must be sacrificed and its power in some way transferred to the children to transform them, because they already possess all the metals of all the demons.
Okay.
Or maybe it's that control panel that I brought up way earlier that they find, and like it has something to do with powering that.
Okay, here's I will see your sacrifice and I will change it to self-sacrifice. So it chooses to sacrifice itself for the betterment of humanity.
Oh yeah, I didn't picture it as
there we go.
Non-consensual thing before. I was picturing it as,
really? You didn't?
Yeah,
really?
That's like it knows like I need to do this, so like opens itself up.
I still think we can get the heart in there without it being gory and horrible. Okay, so if it's self-sacrificing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like picture the Simpsons alien, right? It reaches into its own heart and pulls out this glowing orb and gives it to the children to infuse into themselves.
Okay, it doesn't need to be. Okay, why don't we just have it be so it's like, hey, I'm entrusting you with a key to my spaceship.
My literal heart, which is the key.
Oh my God, with this. I thought they were still human, Daniel. Why are they suddenly like...
They were. Now they're weird.
They've evolved in a divergent way because of the space radiation and stuff.
Right. Space radiation.
Sure. Yep. You know what? Whatever. We'll carry our own headcanons with this one, okay?
Yeah. It was a weird moment.
Wait a
Nobody
minute.
really knew what was happening.
Hold on. Shut the fuck
my
up.
My headcanon's the fingers.
Hold on. I've got an idea. You want to science this? Okay, sure. Yeah, you have the heart, literally, right? Okay, that's your energy core. That's also your access into this new energy. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. Guess what? In order for you to do it, you have to replace the human heart as well.
Yes.
So it's like, so the children have to undergo this procedure. Yeah, that replaces their heart with an alien.
Their heart becomes the alien heart, and then they're connected to the ring, and that's how they control it when they get to the control panel.
Sure.
Yeah. I like that.
Sure. Whatever.
Because the visitors are all connected to each other.
And it can only be a kid because anybody already tainted by the demon essence, like the heart would just die inside of them or something.
It'd rot inside them like Diablo 4.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. Fucking
metal.
God damn it, you guys. Okay. We got there. We got there.
So metal.
Okay. That was honestly a very fun prompt that we've run through. That was very exciting. So again, a big thank you to James for your prompt and your tenet. And oh boy, what a tangled web we wove with this one.
We even have the ET bicycles in the form of those bird people, bird demons. We basically remade ET.
So that's going to do it for this episode of World Build with us. Remember that if you want us to build your world like we did with James here, you can go to our website, worldbuildwithus.com, where you can click the link, follow the instruction, and within a reasonable amount of time, we'll be building your world. I'm going to do the YouTube part now because I keep forgetting it. Guys, we have a YouTube now. Go and subscribe. Click the like button. Comment on everything. Go to our shorts page. Do anything that you can to drive our traffic or not. As long as you keep listening, I'm happy, right? We're also on Twitter at Let's World Build. Come join us there if you want notifications of anything that might be happening. Come to our Discord if you want to chat with us more directly. And if you're feeling particularly generous like James, or if you just want double episodes, patron exclusive Aphid Lounge episodes, or all sorts of other goodies, go to our Patreon with a link for that in the description or on our website. Give us some money, give us a tip, say thank you for all the work and entertainment that we bring into your lives. That's going to do it for this episode of World Build with us. Remember that we love you very much, and we're going to get through this together. Until next week.